Welcome to Burning Bright, a weekly podcast presenting poetry and prose from Passenger. During December, we're featuring writing from books that Passenger published over the past year. Michael Miller's book, The Solitude of Memory, is just coming out this week. At the beginning of his book, Michael says, "War, the search for love, and the courage of the blind occupied my mind and heart. Through the years, these subjects have become the focus of my poetry. At 80, I hope this new volume becomes a distillation of war, love, and blindness." Here are a few of his poems, in that order. First, 2 poems about war. The Bearded Men. He kills them every morning, sometimes 1, often 2. The brown spiders the size of quarters crawling up the wall from his dirt floor basement. In his bedroom, in his living room, he kills them with a fly swatter. Killing comes easy now. He kills without hesitation, cleanly when possible, wiping the crushed bodies off the wall with a wet napkin, leaving no remains. But sometimes, at night, at the end of a dream, the spiders change into men, the bearded men he killed in Iraq. The Bearded Men, Michael Miller. And one more poem about war, A Different Man. "Salam, salam," he said, leaning toward the stricken faces, the cowering bodies pressed into a shadowed corner. And he wanted to put down his M16, to leave his rifle behind with the missions, the death, then return to his wife and say those words for peace. He was a different man in Afghanistan, a man intent on killing to stay alive, a man with invisible blood on his hands that could never be washed away. How can he touch his wife again? "Salam, salam," he will whisper, praying to return to the man he was. A Different Man, Michael Miller. A second subject of Michael's book, The Solitude of Memory, is love. Here are 3 poems. First, Variations. I was dreaming that I entered an old bookstore where dust separated the books on the tables, and a small group gathered for a Sunday reading. Then you appeared, taking off your tan rain hat, your short hair a rusty brown, your nails with green polish, surprising me as you have always surprised me with the variations of your singular truth. Speaking slowly, you began to read a history of our marriage, the tenderness, the anger, the warehouse of forgiveness, and I listened, leaning forward, not knowing how it would end, not knowing what to believe. Variations by Michael Miller. Here's his poem, The Small Island. On Patmos we climbed a hillside, stood upon the rocky summit, spread our arms and gulped down the light, swallowing its unearthly clarity, letting it feed our spirits. On Patmos the lemon trees held drops of the sun, goats stood like sculpture, bread was a bleached piece of earth baked for the gods. On Patmos our marriage thrived. The hot sun led us into the cooling Mediterranean. I became addicted to you, addicted to light. Michael Miller's The Small Island, and one more about love, Morning Song. Leaving the darkness, I wake from undisturbed sleep to light streaming through the opening in the curtain and the shrill call of the jay. Nothing melodious except the flow of my lasting love carrying me from that unforgotten bed where we joined decades ago without a dream of the future. Shall I wake you? Touch your arm folded beneath your head? Your long hair the color of silver? I let you sleep. I enter the day lifting my gratitude into a song. Morning Song, Michael Miller. The third subject of his book, he said, is blindness. 2 poems, numbers 4 and 3. 4. As he drifts toward sleep, he remembers his 6th year and his blind neighbor's garden. "Would you like to help me?" she asked, and he quietly said yes. She told him to water the orange daylilies first, to feel their strong petals, their long stems. He wondered how she knew where they were. 3. Sitting at his cluttered desk, he begins a letter to blindness, letting his large, looping cursive flow freely across the paper. His questions begin with, "Why?" He ends with his name. Reaching for an envelope, he stops. He has no address. 2 poems about blindness by Michael Miller from his brand new book, The Solitude of Memory. Michael said, "Empathy has been the core of the poetry I most admire." From now till December 26th, 20% off all Passenger books and subscriptions. To buy The Solitude of Memory, subscribe to or learn more about Passenger and its commitment to writers over 50, go to PassengerBooks.com. Before we close, this from Passenger's co-editor, Mary Asriel.
Passenger is a small literary press dedicated to bringing you the voices of older writers, men and women of a generation truly vital to our survival. As a Passenger editor for over 30 years, I've come to know remarkable people from ages 50 to 103 through their poems, stories, memoirs, and letters. What they have to say has enriched my life, and it's a joy to be able to share these riches with you, our readers. Please join me in celebrating this season's tradition of kindness and generosity. Go to PassengerBooks.com, click on Donate at the top of the page. Even a small donation can go a long way to sustaining us. And every time you read Passenger Journal or one of our beautiful books, you'll know that you've been part of it.
Passenger's co-editor, Mary Asriel. You can download Burning Bright from Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and various other podcast apps. For Kendra, Mary, Christine, Roseanne, and the rest of the Passenger staff, I'm John Shore.